So before I got started with planting, about a half hour before, I soaked the asparagus crowns in some rabbit manure fertilizer. You could do this with just water as well, but I have a rabbit, so I put some of her manure in a bucket with some water and just let them soak for a little bit. So this is my 33-foot strawberry bed. This is where I'm going to plant the asparagus, right down in the middle. So I've got 20 asparagus crowns. I'm going to space them about 1.5 feet apart. So, there's the bed I'm planting in. So asparagus crowns. I wish I had known about the asparagus plants when I first started gardening. Asparagus is a perennial and it will come back year after year after year. And the plant itself can survive for up to 30 to 40 years. That's incredible. I love perennials. I like to plant one time and then be done. And for that plant to keep coming back. I wish tomatoes and peppers were perennials, but they're not in my area. They can be in the south, but they're not here. When I found out that you planted asparagus once, and sometimes it'll even reseed itself, so it'll multiply for you without you having to do anything, because there's male and female. I think the female reproduces but the male doesn't, and I'm not really sure what types I got. So I got 20 asparagus crowns. 10 are purple passion and 10 are Jersey night giant. And what does an asparagus crown look like? Like a creepy octopus spider. This right here is the crown. And then all these are the roots, spidery looking things. I've got them soaking in a bucket right here beside me to get them nice and moist before they go in the ground. Today's a wet, rainy, thunderstormy day. I'm trying to work in between the thunderstorms, but I gotta get this done because I work the next 3 days. So asparagus crowns can be planted as soon as the soil can be worked in. What that means is if you can dig down into the dirt and you don't hit frozen ground, you're good to go. I'm planting a little later than I would like. I actually got my asparagus crowns in the mail 2 weeks ago, but I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. So today's the day. It's getting done today. The reason why you want to do it a little earlier, you don't want them to break dormancy really quickly. You want it to be a sort of slow process. So the cooler weather helps with that. But I gotta say, our weather's been weird this spring. It's like 28 degrees and then like 2 days later it'll be 80 degrees. It's okay. I don't know what's up, but I'm planting mine in my strawberry bed because asparagus is a good companion plant with strawberries. So what happens is the asparagus will break dormancy before the strawberry plants start to flower. And around about when you start to get strawberries from strawberry plants, the asparagus crowns will be done. So they don't compete for nutrition. And you can make a good use of your space that you have. Because strawberry plants are like a spreader. You can actually use them as a ground cover if you wanted to, like in a like a landscaped area. If you had a large space and you wanted to cover it with something to suppress the weeds and get food from it as well, plant strawberries because they will spread out and cover the area. This bed right here I planted 2 years ago. And I only had 10 strawberry starts and it covered it by the end of the year. But unlike strawberries, where you don't bury the crown because it will cause them to rot, asparagus crowns you do bury. You actually put them about 8 to 10 inches below the soil surface. Some people would dig like a huge long trench, like a foot deep, put their asparagus crowns in it and then cover it over. I'm actually just gonna dig holes, big holes, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. One of the reasons why you bury the crowns is because you want to protect the crowns from frost. So I doubt I'll have any more frost this season. That's okay. But if I were to have planted them ideally when I wanted to, which was probably like mid-March, which is actually what I did with, I'll show you my other bed. I planted those asparagus crowns mid-March of last year. So this is my second year with those. But the reason why you plant them deep like that is to protect them from frost. Frost will kill the crowns of your asparagus plants. So you bury them deeply, and so as they're slowly breaking dormancy and coming up through the ground, and the ground is, you know, thawing and becoming warmer, they'll break dormancy. It's starting to rain. One important thing is when you're handling your asparagus crowns, you want to be very gentle with them. You don't want to damage the crown. If you damage the crown, you'll kill your plant. So the roots, you know, be gentle with the whole thing, but the roots aren't as important. Like if you were to break a little piece of this off, or, you know, break one of these roots off, it's gonna be okay. But if you like split or chop off a chunk of the crown here, you've killed your plant. You want to plant them in well-draining soil, so sandy, loomy, garden soil. You don't want to plant them in clay. You don't want to plant them in something that's going to retain a bunch of water. It'll rot them. And my soil, because this is a raised bed, is mostly garden soil, peat moss, and the garden soil is made up of sand, compost, and asparagus plants are very frost hardy. So, all right, I'm going to show you the crowns that I planted last year, what they look like. All right, so this is the bed. It's a little messy because we're working on this one, redoing the walkway and everything, but this will all fill in again. I had to, you know, some of the, as we're working, the dirt fell on top of a few of the, you know, you see the crowns here, but I'm not worried about it. This will all come back just fine. But this is what I'm showing you. So I planted these. I think I got 3 of them to sprout. So I got 6 last year from Tractor Supply. There was very little growth to them last year. Probably, so you can actually pick them when they're this size, which I'm going to go ahead and do and give a taste test, because I will tell you what, you just break it off right here. This is the second year, and if they're about this size, you can pick them. If they're any smaller than this, you don't want to pick them because you'll kill your plant. You want your plant to do this. So I'm leaving the rest of these. I'm just going to pick this one. Anything else that pops up, I'm leaving alone so that this plant can put energy into getting bigger and making more of these for me next year. So ideally, you don't want to harvest that much from your plants until the 3rd year. But I planted 3 here, and I planted, oh, here's one that kind of got a little broken. And then this one was not here last year. So it is just coming up this year, which is really cool. I'm about to get really wet. Before tasting homegrown asparagus, I'd seen videos where they're just like, oh my gosh, homegrown asparagus is so much better than store-bought. You know, you hear that about everything. You're just like, oh, it can't be that much better. Oh my gosh, yes it is. You don't have to cook it. I had asparagus yesterday at a really nice steak restaurant. Doesn't compare to this. And you can eat the whole, it like melts in your mouth. Sorry, it's raining all over me. You know that woody part that's on the outside, on the lower part of your asparagus? Homegrown asparagus doesn't have that. So good. Even my husband, you know, I told him, I was just like, it's supposed to be so much better. And he's like, okay. Kind of was like that about tomatoes too, but store-bought asparagus is now, just like tomatoes, a disappointment. So I'm planting more this year. Rain be damned. Okay guys, hope this works. I got an umbrella trying to protect my phone here. I'm gonna start digging the holes. We dig 20. So ideally, if you were starting with a fresh bed, you know, a bed with no plants in it, you'd just dig like a big old trench, plant your asparagus right down the middle, and then you'd plant your strawberry plants around where you planted your asparagus. But I've already planted my strawberries, so I am digging the holes and trying to do my best not to damage too many plants. But my neighbor wants some, so the ones that I did have to pull out to get out of the way, I'm going to give to him. But so here's the hole, and it's about, I'd say, I've seen online where you can plant them 6 to 8 inches deep, 1 foot deep, you know, just like I always say, experiment, find what works. But I say this is about between 6 to 8, maybe 8 to 10 inches deep, and I've dug 20 holes. All right, I have got the asparagus crown, and you're gonna try to like splay out the roots as best you can. And then I've got some garden soil here. And what you're going to do is right in the center of the hole, or where you're going to place the crown, you're going to mound up a little pile of dirt. So right in the center, you want to have like a little mound, right? You're going to set your crown on top of the mound, and then you're going to splay your roots out around the mound. Just like that. And it lays nicely in there, and then you're going to fill the hole and completely bury your crown. And as it breaks dormancy, it will work its way up out of this. And I'm going to cover it with its native soil here up to the top. Let's do another one together. So I'm trying to, I have shale, a lot of shale. When we had this dirt brought in to extend our hill or our yard, it was all shale. So it's very rocky, and I'm just trying to remove as many rocks as I can. All right, so another crown. I'm going to build up a little mound right in the center. Just like that. And then I'm going to splay out the roots around the mound, crown right in the center. And try to splay them out as best you can. And then bury it. Completely bury it. And you can see this dirt here. I just kind of dug out and then piled it up on top of the strawberry plants. I might kill a couple, but by the end of the season, this will all be covered again anyways. So I'm not worried about it. Like I said, strawberry plants propagate themselves very easily. Like they will be coming out down here, trying to grab into the dirt here. It's incredible. If only I knew how easy it was to garden 10 years ago. All right, so I'm just going to continue doing that in each hole. Oh, I forgot to show you. I meant to do this too. Let's do one more since I forgot to do that. All right, I want to add a little bit of fertilizer in the hole. So those two, I'll just add the fertilizer on top. Fertilizer? Fertilizer. All right, but this one's going to go into the hole, and I'm going to mix it up because you don't want your crown to sit right on top of a pile of fertilizer. So I've mixed that into that dirt. Grab the crown. And I need to label these. These here are the Jersey Giants. I'm just going to lay that there. Again, set the crown right on the center there of the little mound. Splay the roots out and then bury it. Completely bury it. So one thing that I tried last year, so let's say you're on a tight budget and you can actually grow asparagus from seed. I bought a couple of packets from M.I. Gardener seeds, and I tried to grow them last year twice, and I was unsuccessful. But if you are successful, one of the downsides is that you have to wait even longer for the plants to become established. I think it's about 5 to 6 years before you can actually take asparagus from your plants. So starting with, like, I think these are 3rd-year crowns. So these have already been in the ground growing, establishing their roots for 3 years. And in 2 more years, I should be able to actually take asparagus from these. And maybe even next year, like 1 or 2 spears. They should be about the size of a pencil. If they're any smaller than the size of a pencil, you cannot harvest them. Otherwise, you risk draining all the energy from your plant and killing it. And then you won't have any asparagus ever again. But there is the option to grow from seed, if, you know, because seeds from In My Gardener, they're $2 a pack and you get a bunch of seeds. But I just found this to be, I tried growing from seed, and then I bought crowns from Tractor Supply last year, and the Tractor Supply ones did fine. So I just decided to get some more from Stark Brothers this year and just plant some more down the center of this bed. So that's what I'm going to do, but you could grow them from seed.
You're a hot mess.
Yes, I am. The last thing I'm going to show you is that I put down a light layer of mulch on top of each place where I planted an asparagus crown. A few reasons for that. One, it helps retain moisture in the soil, thereby keeping the plant from drying out and dying. 2, it feeds the soil as it breaks down. And 3, it's like a marker. I'll know to look for an asparagus plant to pop up here, to pop up here, to pop up here, and so on and so forth. So I kind of know where to look if, say, I got a dud.